So good evening, class. So according to the website growthhouse.org, 1.2 million people are diagnosed with cancer every year in the United States. Every year in the U.S., 564,000 people die of cancer. That is, if broken down, 1,500 fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, cousins, family members, loved ones, and friends that die every day. There are hundreds of thousands of people in the United States right now that are in unbearable pain. Painkillers aren't no longer working for them. They're still hurting, and doctors, nurses don't have the medicine to take away the pain so they can die pain-free. The federal government should legalize physician-assisted death in the U.S. This will give the terminally ill an option to end their suffering when the pain medicine no longer works and the pain becomes unbearable. First, I will speak on the harm this is currently causing people who are terminally ill and to not have the choice to end their pain and suffering. Secondly, I'm going to discuss the reasons why physician-assisted death should be legalized in all of the United States. And lastly, I will discuss the reasons why it's not legal and why it's still not legalized in the United States. And lastly, I will discuss what the federal government should do to legalize physician-assisted death in the U.S. So physician-assisted death is still illegal in most of the states which is causing people who are terminally ill and are unable to end their pain and suffering. People will turn to other agonizing, uncertain means to end their lives, such as stopping medication, life support, and stopping nutrition in general. In the documentary, How to Die in Oregon, which came out in 2011, Nancy Niedeslavsky, the wife of a cancer patient who was terminally ill on his deathbed, has been an advocate for the Death for Dignity movement in Oregon, or was and still is. She became the advocate after her husband asked to be euthanized, to put him out of his pain and misery, and he was denied because it was seen as immoral or unethical. So he died a painful death, and she was there with him throughout the whole thing. And it wasn't just him suffering, but it was her as well. So when he died, he made her promise to keep fighting to make it legal in Oregon. So that's how she became the advocate for Death with Dignity, the Death with Dignity movement in Oregon. She didn't want others to go through the same thing her and her husband did. So she made her promise. She asked, why did he have to die a painful death when he could have just gone peacefully and pain-free? And the reason is because in the United States, there has been many bills that have gone through legislation, but hasn't passed. It has been shut down without considering all the good that can come from it, just because it makes people uncomfortable. So even though it's not, the person has no connection to the family, if it's a doctor or a nurse, or just people in general, they don't feel comfortable with it, so they just shut it down with anything new. They don't know about it, they're scared of it. So my question is, how is it okay for the death penalty, for people to be okay with the death penalty and have prisoners die without consent, but when a patient is in pain and is asked to go with dignity and without pain, we all of a sudden are uncomfortable with it? And this is because many people, there is many religious faiths that maintain the belief that it's up to God to decide who dies and who doesn't. Also, people believe that it's giving doctors and patients too much power. People feel that also this will open the doors to have many other patients, such as like people that suffer from depression or a mental illness, the opportunity to commit suicide. But there is a procedure, there is evaluations, not just by one doctor, but by many, that people have to go through. It's not like someone can just move here and just die the next day. They have to be a resident for, I think, it's up to 6 months. They have to pass a psychological evaluation. So there has been many attempts to legalize physician-assisted death. It has resulted in ballot initiatives and legislation bills within the U.S. that have been shut down for the past 20 years. For example, on the article by McBride named Euthanasia, it mentioned that the ballot initiative 119 in California, in the year 1991 in California was actually shut down. Then there was another one in Oregon in the year 1994 that was shut down. So, in conclusion, Nancy, we have to be informed. The federal government should do something to fix this and give people the option to either die or not. There was an article where it mentioned there was over 1,200 prescriptions given out, but out of those 1,000, only 255 people actually went through and used it within the past 3 years. Nancy fought hard for her husband, and it actually paid off. Oregon became the first state to legalize death with dignity, with the Death with Dignity Act. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.